I don't think the people behind Wonder Woman really knew what to do with Dr. Poison. When I rewatched Wonder Woman, I noticed something interesting about the character. Dr. Poison is Ludendorff's head chemist, in charge of creating a new nerve gas to win the war, and she is also a woman. And yeah, duh, but not once does any character mention the fact that in 1918, the head scientist for a general in the German army is a woman. That's weird, right? Like, on one hand, it's cool. She's just treated like everyone else, a valuable member of the team. Progress. But on the other hand, Wonder Woman is a movie about war and gender, and you have, in Dr. Poison, another woman in the German army indirectly fighting against Wonder Woman, and it never comes up. How? It immediately makes Maru the biggest missed opportunity in Wonder Woman, so I want to change that. I think a more developed Dr. Poison has the potential to not only improve the ending of Wonder Woman, but further define the character of Diana for the future. And to do this, I want to make two small changes. The first is to a pretty otherwise inconsequential moment in Wonder Woman. And that change is Dr. Poison shouldn't laugh. What do I mean? Well, there's a scene about halfway through the movie in which Ludendorff attempts to convince the other German military leaders to continue the war. When they refuse, Dr. Poison throws a canister of her new nerve gas into the room with the generals. And before he locks the generals in, Ludendorff tosses in one gas mask. Dr. Poison points out that the mask won't save the men, and Ludendorff says that the generals don't know that. Then they both giggle as the rest of the generals die. This laugh is pretty much the only thing stopping Dr. Poison from being a complex character. It informs the audience that she is bad. She creates chemical weapons because, like Steve said in her intro, she's psychotic and enjoys when other people suffer horrible gas-induced deaths. But if we take that moment out, we can have a different Dr. Poison, one that really works with the themes of Wonder Woman. And if we focus more on Dr. Poison, we can build a much more engaging finale. So first I'm going to explore why I think Dr. Poison is the perfect villain for Wonder Woman. Then I'm going to go over how I would have constructed this new ending, with a bunch of other fun changes, including maybe one of my favorite bits of fan service that I've ever written. So first, why? Well, a nuanced Dr. Poison would have made a great foil for Wonder Woman. In storytelling, a foil is a character that, through contrast, helps to reveal things about another character. Apparently this comes from jewelers putting shiny metal like foil under a jewel to make it shine brighter. My favorite example of the foil is Magneto. He and Professor Xavier have similar goals. They both want prosperity for mutant kind, but Xavier and Magneto have very different beliefs about how to achieve that goal. Xavier with peace and Magneto with violence. By putting Magneto in his story, it highlights how much more focused on peace Xavier is. Dr. Poison could have been that foil for Wonder Woman. Both characters are extraordinary women involved in World War I. They both seem to be the only two women actively participating in the war, but their backgrounds created two very different characters. Diana was raised in a society where women are valued. On Themyscira, she had every opportunity. Diana was a strong, powerful, beautiful, intelligent princess slash apparently demigod, although the demigod part was probably not the best idea. And even though her mother was against it, Diana was able to choose whether she wanted to stay on the island or leave to fight the Great War. And because Diana had that choice, she seems to believe everyone else had the same choice. Diana thinks everyone is doing what they're doing because it's what they want to do, which leads to a very simplistic view of the war. Characters like Steve and his friends at Ludendorff and Dr. Poison are killing people, which means they must want to kill people, which makes them bad. But war isn't that simple, especially not World War I. And I'm no historian, but from what I understand, an assassination started a conflict between two countries, which pulled in many other countries based on existing alliances. It was a mess. There were no clear heroes or villains. There weren't very many ideological causes soldiers could fight for. Your average British soldier probably didn't have much invested in the assassination of the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, but nevertheless, he was going to have to go fight under terrible conditions and very possibly die in horrific ways. And since there weren't many clear ideological purposes for the war, everyone had their own different reasons for fighting. This is revealed to Diana over the course of the movie. First, she talks with Chief at the campfire. He reveals that he's there to profit off the war because the previous war took everything from his people, and being a part of this war is the only way that he can be free. He didn't have a choice. After the No Man's Land fight, Diana tells Samir that she thinks it's strange that Charlie couldn't shoot. Samir explains that not everybody gets to be what they want to be. Even though Charlie clearly has some sort of PTSD, he has to continue to fight in the war. No choice. Samir also tells his story. He didn't want to be a soldier, he wanted to be an actor, but because of the color of his skin, Samir wasn't able to. Didn't have a choice. He even ends the talk with the quote, "Everyone's fighting their own battles, just like you were fighting yours." This is the lesson Diana needs to learn by the end of the film. And if the movie didn't show her enjoying other people's suffering, Dr. Poison could be the very extreme foil that reveals to Diana that not everyone has a choice. Isabel Maru was raised in a society that didn't value women outside of their existing roles, and even though Maru was a brilliant chemist, there may not have been so many opportunities for her in the 1900s because she was a woman. So, if Maru wanted to practice chemistry, she didn't have a choice either. When Ludendorff approached her with the opportunity to join the German army, Maru could have seen this as the only opportunity she was ever going to get. War was the only way for Maru to become a respected chemist. And yeah, that's not a great reason to invent new and more deadly kinds of gas, but it's the kind of messy reasoning that can really challenge Diana's thinking. Confronting this reality reveals to Diana that her worldview is too simple. People are complicated. Even the ones who seem evil may have their own reasons for doing the wrong thing. And Diana's solution to the problem of war won't work. She cannot just kill all the people she believes are bad, because not everyone is just plain old bad. After learning more about Dr. Poison, Diana is forced to change. So that's your why. Let's look at how this could be implemented. And unsurprisingly, my other change to the finale, besides Ares not being involved, that we can use to drive the message home is that Diana and Maru need to meet and talk. Diana needs to learn about Maru. To do that, I'm going to put everyone on the bomber. So let's walk through how this new version of the finale plays out. Also, this version directly follows my other change to Wonder Woman that takes Ares out of the picture. If you haven't watched that yet, I would pause the video here and give it a look. It's called Disarming Ares. Then come back to this video. But hey, maybe you're on the treadmill or something, so here's the short version. Ares meets Diana in the tower, but he tells her that he isn't controlling Man is bad on his own, and she can't fight him. He just leaves. It messes Diana up. Okay, so Diana is still in shock. While she's standing on the tower, the rest of the team learns that the Germans are planning to use the new nerve gas to bomb London and end the armistice. Steve decides that the best way to stop the attack is to get inside of the bomber and destroy it. So Samir, Charlie, and Chief make a diversion while Steve sneaks over to the bomber. He takes one last look at Diana and then hops in. And Diana sees Steve for a split second and realizes what's happening. She jumps off the tower towards the airfield, tries to catch the bomber, but it's too far ahead of her and she isn't able to make it. Diana runs over to the gang, they explain what Steve is planning to do, and Diana realizes that Steve won't be able to make it off the plane alive without her help. So she asks the gang to help her save Steve. They all immediately agree and begin to form a plan. I can hotwire one of these planes, and I can fly one. When did you learn how to fly? I've been taking lessons from my nephew, Andre. I can get us close to the plane, but even if I get us close enough, we'll be shot down. Not if I can shoot them down first. I'll take the gunner seat. Yeah, but that doesn't leave any room for her. Oh, I'll just ride it. Everyone's confused. Cut to Samir flying a German plane with Charlie in the gunner seat and Diana standing on the plane, holding onto her lasso, which is wrapped around the top wing. Wing walking is an activity invented in the early 1900s in which an incredibly brave and or stupid person would stand on the wing of a biplane. They were usually strapped to the plane somehow, but Diana is Wonder Woman, so she can just anchor herself with the lasso and surf on the wing. And the ensuing dogfight will be our big third act set piece. Besides the fact that it'll put all our main characters together, I think it's a lot more fun to watch than a British dude hurling lightning at Wonder Woman. Side note, why does Ares use lightning? Lightning is Zeus's thing. Maybe Ares has it in the comics, I'm not sure. It's definitely not what he's known for. Just in general, Ares should fight exclusively with weapons. We've already got Zeus Flash and soon Shazam in this universe. That's too much lightning to just be tacking it onto other random characters, especially when we could get Weather Wizard, Livewire, Reverse Flash, Static, Lightning Lad, and even Maxi Zeus if we're lucky. Maybe switch it up occasionally. Anyway, while our heroes are in the air, we take a look at what's going on inside the bomber. Steve is sneaking around, taking out soldiers one by one, until he makes his way to the bombs themselves. There are way more than he expected, and as Steve momentarily lets his guard down, he feels a gun at his back and is caught by Dr. Poison. Crashing another party general? Because, of course, Dr. Poison would be on the plane. She invented the bombs. If something goes wrong, she's gonna need to be there to fix them. Back in the air, our heroes are getting closer to the bomber. Samir notices some other German planes guarding the bomber. This leads to fun aerial maneuvering. Samir's flying all around, Wonder Woman's holding on for dear life, and Charlie gets his redemption moment when he shoots down the pursuing planes while singing. Hooray. Samir gets even closer to the bomber. Charlie asks Samir if the bomber will be able to spot them, and Samir can answer, I'm tailing them in what should be the bomber's only blind spot. As far as they're concerned, this plane is invisible. I know, it's terrible, but it's also amazing. I'm not apologizing. Oh, and while we're talking about Samir, Samir. His name drop from earlier is a reference to one of the original Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are DC's team of World War II pilots, so Samir's nephew Andre will eventually grow up to be the Andre from the Blackhawks who will fly in World War II. The only reason I ever made that connection is that before we even knew much about the Wonder Woman movie, Saeed Taghmaoui Instagrammed out a picture of himself cropped next to the comic version of Andre, which I guess now meant nothing, but I like the idea that he has a deeper DC connection. Also, as I'm recording this, I just learned that Steven Spielberg might be making a Blackhawks movie for DC. That could just be a rumor, but if it's true, this is a good way to set that up. So, Samir gets the plane close enough for Diana to hold on to the wing with one hand and lasso the bomber with the other. She thanks her new friends, Charlie gives her a thumbs up, and Samir blows her a kiss. Diana rolls her eyes and swings over to the bomber. Samir gives one last look and says to himself, wow, she is a wonder. Diana climbs the plane like Tom Cruise, finds a door, opens it, and gets inside safely. Diana draws her sword and walks through the plane quietly, but then she notices the already knocked out guards. She turns a corner and finds Steve being held at gunpoint by Dr. Poison. Diana initially gets angry, but she remembers what Steve told her. It isn't as simple as she thinks. Then Diana realizes that Maru is scared, and then it hits her. Even Dr. Poison doesn't want to be part of this war. This will be the moment that Wonder Woman changes. What makes her special isn't that she's strong or confident, it's that Diana can see the good in everybody. She saw it in a spy, and then in a liar, and a killer, and a smuggler. And now she sees it in Maru, another person pulled into this war for their own reasons. Diana needs to convince Maru to help her and Steve stop the war. Diana can't fight Maru. Diana just needs to explain right now that Maru alone has the power to defuse the bombs and end the war. Finally, Maru's decisions aren't controlled by anyone but herself, and Maru chooses to help. She hatches a plan. Maru can't destroy the bombs since something like an explosion may release some of the gas into the air and kill innocent people. She has to defuse the rest of the gas by herself via chemistry. I don't know, she can do it. And Maru is worried that the bombs may still fall into the wrong hands. Someone could recover the plane and reverse engineer the gas to make more of it. So, Steve stays behind to fly the plane and down it somewhere in the ocean. Diana pleads with Steve to find another way. Steve explains that he and Maru have to work together to end this war, but he believes the world is going to need Diana way more in the future. Besides, no one's better at crashing planes into the ocean than Steve Trevor. They kiss, Steve gives Diana his pocket watch, and she parachutes out of the plane. End of war. So instead of the Ares fight, look what we have now. Every member of the team has a moment to do something important. The silly CGI battle is now a fun dogfight. Our three most important characters for the finale are all in the same place. Diana solves a problem without fighting, and Dr. Poison has gone from a one-dimensional afterthought to a complex foil for Diana. And all we had to do was completely rewrite the last 30 minutes of the movie. Thank you to everyone who patronizes me. If you want to see your name up here, as well as get access to videos early, stuff like that, throw in a buck or two, patreon.com/NandoVMovies. I really appreciate it. I also want to give a huge shout out this week to some very helpful Redditors at the Build a PC for Me subreddit. I finally upgraded my setup for editing, and it's amazing, so thank you so much to Redditors Skull123, and especially It's a Me Spaghetti. It's made a huge difference. You guys are great. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Might even have something else coming down the pipes this week, so watch out for that. Here's my Patreon button, channel link, and also the link to the Ares video. Give that a watch if you haven't yet, it's pretty good. And finally, to get updates on videos and podcasts, or to vote on polls for which member of the Black Order you're most excited to see in Infinity War, it isn't Cole. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, I'm at NandoVMovies. That's all I've got, I'll see you next time.